Can you play Hysilens without Kafka? I'm not going to leave you hanging, and I'm just going to tell you that yes, of course you can. In fact, I am going to demo 3 different teams here that you can use that don't have Kafka. However, I also want to be clear that you should pull Kafka if you have Hysilens. It is by far and away your best value for your Jades, and you will get much better results. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, as I'm trying to bring some nuance to this discussion, as a lot of people would be like, oh, you need Kafka, which I am also guilty of saying that. But, you know, on the flip side, I don't want to just tell you, yeah, sure, just pull Hysilens and forget Kafka. You really should pull Kafka. But if for some reason you just really like Hysilens and really don't like Kafka, or maybe you have some of these characters already and, you know, it's not as much of an extra extra amount of characters you need to pull, then, you know, maybe it's worth it to you. So let's take a look at these teams. The first one I have here is what I think is the best possible team I can assemble without using Kafka, and that is Hysilens, Robin, and Black Swan, with Huohuo as the sustain. Huohuo is not really that relevant. Her ultimate does help you a little bit with some extra energy and attack, but you can probably pick other sustains and be okay. So I want to point out something very important, which this is a team in which I have E1 S1 Hysilens, E1 S1 Robin, and I have E1 Black Swan with Eyes of Prey Light Cone. So I don't have her Light Cone. And Huohuo is E0S0. Again, not terribly important. But my point with that is this is still a pretty high investment team that we're playing with here. But let's see how it does. Alright, I am in Memory of Chaos for the 3.5 version. We're going to do the Svarog fight in the first node. This is a dot-favored endgame cycle that we're in here right now. And this particular effect with the extra burn dot is not, like, super big for making your dot team stronger specifically, but it is 1 extra dot for Hysilens' abilities to trigger on, so it does help her. So another thing to keep in mind with this demo. So let's get everybody up and running. Alright. So not a lot of strategy with dot teams usually. The main thing is managing your skill points. So you're going to want to prioritize Robin being able to skill so she can get her ult up. You're going to want to prioritize Huohuo's skill if you need healing, in which case I don't here, so I'm going to probably basic. Then I would probably prioritize Swan's skill over Hysilens, but if you can, you want to skill every time with them. Okay, so I don't need to skill for Robin to get her ult. And I'm going to use it right away because the enemy's turns are next. Okay. Million damage. Over 1 million damage with Hysilens' ult. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to wait to use her ult because Swan is about to get her ult. And that way we're maximizing the amount of energy that we're getting from Huohuo's ult. Okay. So look at that. We managed to zero cycle the first side. Thanks to that last second dot damage. Okay, let's just take a quick look. Alright, I got 4 skill points, so it should be good. But we're going to want to skill with everybody here, so... because we do want to heal. We do want to skill with Swan if we can. Should be okay. Oh, you know what? I forget if it's Hysilens E1 or her light cone that gives you an extra skill point, so that helps too. Alright, but we do want to skill with Robin. Ah, we just barely don't get her ult before the enemy gets a turn. Okay, there it is. So we can at least go before Svarog. Alright. I don't need to heal particularly, so I'm fine using Hysilens skill and basic with Huohuo, and then skill with Swan. It does mean I probably can't skill with Hysilens next, but that's probably okay. Hysilens is next, so I'm gonna wait to use Huohuo's ult. Okay, I actually don't mind if he grabs Robin, because she's just not doing anything. Alright. So that should be enough to get my ult, and then we'll use Huohuo's ult. So I think I'm actually gonna basic to get Robin out to make sure that Swan can get Robin out. Yeah. Oh, that was unfortunate RNG. For the record, I have tested this many times. That might be the first time I had somebody go down. But we do have the caster as passive. Ha ha ha. Okay, yes, we need to skill with Robin. He really wants Swan dead. Yeah, so just to be clear, if you don't have Casterus, this is still very doable. I got unlucky with Swan getting nuked to there, and I probably should have or could have healed with Huohuo rather than trying to break Robin out that one time, and that also would have solved the problem. So, possible you could call that even a misplay on my part. Okay, Svarog might die from the dots. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 500k from the dots. So we did it in 2 cycles, which is pretty great, right? You would think, but I think we'll talk more about it at the end. Any way you look at it, two cycles is a really nice clear. And, you know, ignore my Bailu. That is my special solo Bailu build. I can't share that with you, or Hoyo will delete my account. Okay, so that is the Hysilens Black Swan team. Again, you know, you could use anybody in the Huohuo slot, and also even Robin you could replace with Ruan Mei or even Tribby and probably still get similar results. It's mostly that E1 Hysilens and E1 Black Swan putting in work there. So let's look at another team that can work, and I'm going to do this in real time so you can see the differences here. We're going to try Acheron, and we're going to do the Acheron, Hysilens, and I'm going to run Cipher in the 3rd slot, and I will explain in a moment why. But then we'll also run Aventurine. I have S1 Aventurine, which is fantastic with Acheron for building her stacks and not using skill points. So, Acheron, I have E2 Acheron, but in my testing with Hysilens specifically, I was finding I was actually getting better results still running either Cipher or Jiaoqiu instead of trying to run a Harmony unit. Your results may vary on that, and it was close, but I kind of liked this setup better. I got similar results between Cipher and Jiaoqiu in the 3rd spot, but I like Cipher a little better in this fight because if Acheron is the one that gets caught by Svarog's hand, you can have somebody that can help break her out. The other two characters are not going to be able to help with that. So, yeah, and like I said, I do have E2 Acheron, but the other thing with playing two Nihility characters, maybe that'll be a little more common for somebody trying to do this. So, by playing two Nihility characters, I'm kind of negating the E2 value. Like, there's a little extra value, I think, with how the Crimson Knots work, but this is going to be fairly close to having E1. And honestly, Acheron's E1 is kind of trash anyway, so you still might be able to do the same thing with E0 Acheron. I think her E1 is just like less than 20% crit rate or something on her ult, which is crazy for a whole Eidolon. Okay, so strategy-wise, this is going to be very similar to playing any other Acheron team, except this time you have Hysilens instead of Jiaoqiu, basically. I would probably be running Jiaoqiu Cipher if I had an E0 Acheron these days. And just, you know, we're all built to build stacks for Acheron. And the kind of nice thing with Hysilens is you still will get a pretty decent amount of damage from her ultimate. I would say a non-negligible amount of damage from her ultimate and the dots, of course, when the enemy turn comes up. Like, 378 is pretty good if we're looking at her as our sub-DPS. Okay. Alright, I hope Acheron can finish with this. Okay, good. So we preserved the 0 cycle going into turn 2. And I didn't have to use Cipher's ultimate. So skill point wise, obviously you want to prioritize Acheron every turn so that you get the 2 stacks from her skill. Both Hysilens and Cipher are not super important whether you skill or not. And actually I probably should have skilled there. Like, Hysilens higher priority than Cipher in terms of skill points. And then at least in this fight you should never have to skill with Aventurine. His auto shielding should be enough to keep up. So he's just going to be totally 100% SP positive. Cipher, if I'm at 4 or 5 skill points, I will probably skill with her to squeeze out a little extra damage, but her skill is not important at all. The only other time it might be important is like if you want to switch targets for the main coin thing. Alright, capturing Cipher is not that big a deal. Acheron should be able to break her out. There we go. Oh, I'm gonna have Aventurine break this guy. Hold him in place for a little bit. Okay, I only have 2 skill points, so I'm just gonna basic. I always have to remember with Acheron that she can only build, I think, 3 stacks over her normal limit. So she's not like they kind of upgraded that with Fei Xiao, where Fei Xiao can stack like a whole entire second ult, but not with Acheron. So you want to make sure you're not wasting stacks. And you basically need to use her ultimate as soon as it becomes available. Alright, so I've got 5 points. I'll skill with Cipher. And at some point we got to figure out when Svarog will be low enough for us to pop her ult. And I think we got a little ways to go. I don't think it will be enough. Maybe. This is always the game you play with Cipher. Okay, I have enough for one more Acheron ult, and then I am going to use Cipher's ult, and that should be enough to kill him pretty comfortably, actually. Yeah, especially since he's the only target left. That's plenty of damage. Yep. So again, 2 cycles, which is pretty great. And that time, the E2 Acheron really wasn't even that much of a factor. And I only using E0 S1 Cipher and E0 S1 Aventurine. So the only extra Eidolon other than Acheron I have is Hysilens. And the... yeah... Just to reemphasize here, so like her E1, like I said, her E1 is kind of trash. Oh yeah, I didn't even realize it's only against debuffed enemies you get an extra crit rate. That's kind of garbage. And then her E2, if I'm not taking advantage of the switching to a Harmony character, then you're not really getting a ton of value out of the E2. I do have her Light Cone, which that's a big value with Acheron, but I think a lot of people did pull her Light Cone. Okay, so another 2 cycle clear. Pretty good. But what if you are broke? What if you are... Alright, I'm not going to call this a free-to-play team. I'm going to call it like a almost free-to-play, or maybe a low spender, or let's say budget team. So we're going to play Hysilens. It's still E1 S1 Hysilens. I can't undo her Eidolon. But for support, I am going to play Ruan Mei, who a lot of people were able to get free up until... I don't know if she's still free as of recording. I don't remember. I think it was ending in 3.6, so she might still be available. I do have E1 Ruan Mei, but again, I can't undo that Eidolon. And I do have her S1, which if you buy the battle pass like one time, you can get her S1. It's not that hard to get, comparatively speaking. Of course, that is some money you are spending, but again, I'm gonna call this a budget team, okay? Because the real saving grace is going to be for our third character. We are going to play good old Sampo, and I've got Sampo at E6, of course, as I think a lot of people will have E6 for your 4 stars. And we're going to run the Good Night and Sleep Well Light Cone. And I don't even have his traces maxed. I'm at 10 of 12 on his important traces there, so... and then Sustain, we'll put Huohuo back in. Again, I don't think that's really going to make a huge difference who you pick there. Okay, let's see how it goes with our old friend Sampo. So this is pretty much going to be the same strategy as the Black Swan team, although Sampo skilling is maybe a little more higher priority. Ideally, we want to have him skilling every turn. Even more than Hysilens, I think. Okay. Ultimately, his job is still more dot application. But as you'll see as we ramp up here, his skill actually ends up doing some fairly decent damage. If he doesn't get stunned. Okay. His ult, however, not gonna give you a lot of damage.
There's more to life.
Okay, I'm at 5. I'm gonna skill to build energy and not waste the skill point. Please don't hit Sampo. Please don't. No, they already hit Sampo. I swear, people, I've done all of these demos without anybody dying. And this is as soon as I'm recording, of course, they're dying. I've done each of these many, many times, testing it beforehand. Well, thank you, Casterus, once again. Again, I'm just trying to emphasize you don't need the Casterus passive. It's very possible to do this without it. I almost want to re-record, but I'm too lazy to do that. Alright. In fact, I already had to re-record this once due to some technical issues.
In the abyss's revels, your cries rise.
What are you waiting for? To betray my customers? I charge extra.
Thrashing and snapping, not worth fearing.
Okay. That should be...
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
We should pretty handily get this in one cycle. I'm surprised he's still alive, to be honest. Okay.
I owe you one. Fiends or devils, I'll crush them all.
Look at that, 236 with Sampo in 2025. Okay, I'm gonna say... actually, no, I don't need to... Well, okay, I can get her ult without skilling, so I'm gonna do that.
In the abyss's revels, your cries rise.
Get them. More business, eh?
Okay.
What are you waiting for? To betray my customers? I charge extra.
There's more to life.
Should I skill for the energy? Who do we got coming up next? Hysilens. Everybody's in good shape healing-wise, so... Just skill to keep the Ruan Mei uptime on her ult.
Don't let waves open your throat. Be intoxicated.
Now, you do see we are doing, like, significantly less damage, right?
Some value, I suppose.
And again, always save your Ruan Mei ult to the start of her turn, because it ticks down at the start of her turn. Okay, that's going to give us a few ults here. So I'm going to do Sampo's first, then Hysilens. Then when everybody's clear, then we use Huohuo to get the energy. 700k is not bad. Okay, I'm at 3 skill points. Do I want to heal? I might heal just to not only be safe, but also build Huohuo's energy. Because we're definitely not going to have to skill with Ruan Mei next turn. Oh, another 270 from Sampo. Look at that. Okay, I do need to skill with Ruan Mei next turn, so I got to be careful about that.
What are you waiting for? To betray my customers? I charge extra.
5-star Sampo win.
Don't let waves open your throat. Be intoxicated. Stay in the abyss.
I want 5-star Sampo to just be like a sicko mode hunt character.
We're just having fun.
Just like pure follow-up attack, massive damage. Do I want to... No, I do need to skill with Ruan Mei, so I'm gonna save skill points. Alright, we're getting close. I don't know...
To betray my customers, I charge extra.
I don't know, folks.
More business, eh?
Every petal and all will be swept away by the wind.
Yeah, it's not going to happen on that turn, but I think we'll pretty comfortably get it here. Svarog's probably going to die at the start of his... Oh, no, yeah, he will definitely... He's definitely dead. Okay. So it took 2 more turns, but we still did it in 4. Which, that gives us a whole extra turn to clear within 5, which is what you need to finish your endgame. So... Even with our old buddy Sampo, with an average at best build, we were able to clear Memory of Chaos. So that all seems pretty good, right? But I want to kind of get into the bigger question about, should you still pull or do you need Kafka? And as we just saw, of course, no, you don't need Kafka if you invest well enough here. Here's something to consider, though. I think it's important to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. So, as I've mentioned many times, this is an E1 S1 Hysilens. If there's one single thing that contributed to making this happen, it is her E1. Hysilens E1 is wild. It does so much extra damage. So just to explain it a little bit, she does give a pretty substantial dot damage buff to everybody on the team, which is great. But the really big part about this Eidolon is the second part, where when she inflicts one of the 4 dot types, Wind Shear, Bleed, Burn, Shock, there's a 100% base chance to inflict an extra copy of that dot. Now, why is that huge? The way most dots normally work is you can only apply 1 copy of that dot. So if you apply, let's say, Bleed, if you reapply Bleed later with the same ability, it's not like you're going to have now 2 Bleed dots. It's just going to reapply the dot so that the countdown timer resets. The number of turns that it lasts resets. So with Hysilens, if she's applying these 4 dot types, that means at most she's going to be applying 4 dots on her own. And then you add in, whatever you're getting from Black Swan or other dot characters. Or in this case, even the Memory of Chaos, you're getting that extra burn dot, right? So that's 5, and then, Black Swan's adding her dots, and et cetera, et cetera. So, but Hysilens herself, 4 dots. With her E1, she is now adding an extra copy of each dot, which means you're adding 8 dots. Now, if the vast majority of your damage is coming from dots, and you have now doubled your number of dots on the enemy, the math doesn't quite work out to doubling your damage, but it is a huge, huge damage boost. I've seen some people estimating it between 60 to 70% damage boost. For an E1, that is massive. So this is a crazy good Eidolon to get if you're not going to get Kafka. Now, of course, I also have E1 Robin, E1 Black Swan, and they all have their light cones except for Black Swan. So these are all contributing factors to this being a pretty high investment team for our first one. We saw the Acheron team was able to clear in the same number of cycles with slightly less investment, but still it was a fairly high investment in all of that. Here's the thing. 2 cycle clears is great. But if you go to the Huohuo Lab lineup assistant or other places that people post their lineups and their clears for Memory of Chaos, I have seen plenty of people 0 cycle clearing with just E0 Hysilens and E0 Kafka. Basically, that is better results than any of these teams with just 1 copy of Kafka. And to understand the Kafka value even further, I should point out something that a lot of people have not realized. Kafka does not need her signature light cone. In fact, at E0, you don't even... That's not even her best in slot. Now, I have it because I have E6 Kafka. That's a whole nother story. But at E0 up to like E4, many people, and I tend to agree, are saying that her best in slot light cone is the 4-star before the tutorial mission starts, which is available free in the Herta store. So, real quickly, the reason why this is considered her best right now is because her signature light cone is more about contributing her own personal damage, and this is more about getting your ultimate a lot, which means you're going to set off detonate stacks from Hysilens, more frequently, which in the long run is going to get you more damage than what you would be getting out of Kafka. So, point being, you don't even need her light cone. You literally just need one copy of Kafka to go with your E0 Hysilens to get significantly better results than any of the 3 teams that had multiple characters with multiple Eidolons in them. That is a crazy good value for your Jades. So, unless you have like some kind of personal grudge against Kafka or something, you should pull Kafka. So that is why everyone is saying Hysilens needs Kafka. Now, of course, as we've seen, that's not 100% true. There's a lot more nuance to that discussion. I still think you should pull Kafka. But you know what? Hey, this is a game. You do what you think is fun. If you really want to make these teams work, or there's probably different variations or other teams out there that might work, post that in the comments on how, if you've decided to go Kafka-less and how that's worked out for you. But, pick who you want, have fun. You have options. That's ultimately what it's all about at the end of the day. So yeah, if you like this video, hopefully it was fun and maybe informative. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell your friends. And we'll catch you all next time. Bye.